The coronavirus, now officially named COVID-19, has already had a significant impact on business events and tourism across Asia. Event professionals around the region have already implemented several precautionary measures, such as increased on-site medical staff at events, no handshake policies, and temperature checks upon entry. However, several industry leaders are also warning us to remain calm and focus on longer-term goals and recovery. In fact, just this week, the Singapore Tourism Board has announced the establishment of a Tourism Recovery Action Task Force that will rally various stakeholders across the sector, including business events professionals, to map out and strengthen the recovery effort. STB CEO Keith Tan told the media that he expects the impact of the virus to be worse than that of SARS in 2003, with an estimated loss of between 18 to 20,000 visitor arrivals per day. So the postponement and cancellation of events is inevitable. But for Singapore at least, there is a robust pipeline of events for 2021 and beyond. And we also expect additional support, particularly for the business events industry, to be outlined in the 2020 budget next week.
I'm confident in the measures that our hotels and venues have put in place to sanitize and clean and uphold their levels of hygiene in their premises. Now, I also am very confident in the long-term brand equity of Singapore. The perception of Singapore as a safe, hygienic, clean destination remains very high, and we intend to build on that reputation for the future.
Events are still taking place, of course. The Singapore Air Show is happening right now, albeit on a smaller scale. And the Global Space and Technology Convention took place last week at the Grand Hyatt Singapore. We attended the event and spoke to the organising association to understand the planning process and lessons learned. We also sat down with BI Worldwide, who shared insight into stakeholder management and internal team engagement during times of crisis. Recently, we spoke to SACIOS to understand exactly how the association is assisting SMEs during this time.
So when we organize events, as we all do, there are many vendors and partners we work with. And the important thing is to really take ownership, that this is your program, these are your partners, your friends, your delegates, and make sure that we are sincere in ensuring their well-being is top of our priority. Because there are too many vendors and you can't control what their business processes are, it's very important to be very firm that certain items are red lines. If this is not going to be done, the deal is off and it's not going to happen. At least for my organization, the health of the delegates are very, very important. And so is their psychological well-being. We don't want to scare them, but we don't want them to be sick because they're coming to a conference.
I think an agency's responsibility in these times of crisis is really to stay calm. Internally, obviously, we're communicating very openly with our teams in China and in Singapore, taking actually extra precautionary measures to keep people safe at home at the moment, especially in our Shanghai office. In Singapore, we're trying to be conservative and following the Ministry of Health's recommendations. I think we acknowledge that this was a tough time. We've acknowledged that we've had so many wins and now we're losing them. Every one of them by the minute are threatened to be cancelled or postponed and so on and so forth. And it's difficult to see all of your efforts crumble, and with something that's so beyond your control. We've acknowledged this and kind of addressed the elephant in the room. It's not about putting feelings or anything's emotion on the side and brushing them and getting back into it. It's also taking the time to a little bit mourn that business in a way, if I may say so. So acknowledging this and then kind of picking ourselves up and say, okay, it's not about the glass half full or half empty. It's about being able to refill it, and we will refill it. So
the greatest fear is the fear of the unknown, and this is what the virus is all about. Nobody knows how long this will be. We tend to take it for granted when we sign contracts, right? And when there is this clause called force majeure, what how does it get activated? And lo and behold, I think many SMEs were suddenly taken aback that they didn't really quite know the extent of the clause and also the remit of the clause. So what we did was to get our legal advisors to the association to render support, consultancy to them. And in fact, this Friday we'll be doing a legal clinic in order for the SMEs to come, for those who really to really strengthen their understanding, and if they can make amends, to do so. What we told our industry members, say, help us to help you. And the minimum help is give us the right contact, senior folks or key folks who can make decisions, so that we can then ensure that the response is swift as well as a feedback. So that we establish a national communications network on WhatsApp. So we have close to 125 people on that comms network. So whenever there is information, latest updates, recommended measures, we push it out through this comms network.
We hope these insights will help the broader community of business events professionals across Asia identify management strategies to deal with this difficult period. We would love for you to share your experience and strategies with us and look forward to sharing your stories.